So what is mindfulness? It's a term that's used a lot today. It's one that's crept into our popular culture. So for example, you may be in the subway and see the phrase, mind the gap, which really is a shorthand for pay attention. Or you may be in a meeting and hear a colleague say, we need to be mindful of, where in this case it's being used as a shorthand for to remember. Or as one of my students recently said, oh, we're going to mindful this. So using it as this verb of actually a process that we're going to do. So it has a variety of meanings. And one of the reasons why it has so many different meanings and why it's used so extensively is because of the emerging evidence around the benefits of mindfulness, which we're going to explore in depth in this course. So what is mindfulness for the purposes of our course? Well, I'd like to define it, and my definition is mindfulness as an intentional, moment-by-moment, non-judgmental noticing of our thoughts, feelings, body, and our surrounding environment. And why is this so important? Well, the reason why this is so important is because it opens up a completely different way of being in the world. And there's a wonderful framework that actually comes from the Center for Mindfulness at the University of Massachusetts that says that when we're practicing mindfulness, when we're actually mindful, 4 things start to happen. We start to stop or slow down. We take ourselves off of autopilot. We start to see the entirety of a moment or a situation. And once we see that completely, we start to understand it in an entirely different way. We have a fresh perspective. New options become possible. And then finally, we choose a response. What's the most effective response from what we've understood? So this is a beautiful shorthand for why mindfulness is so powerful. We're stopping, we're seeing, we're understanding, and we're choosing. What's the most effective response? What I'd like to do is I'd like to operationalize this definition by using a model that's called the intention, attention, and attitude model. And it looks at the 3 core components of mindfulness, the definition I just gave you a moment ago. And what it does is it allows you to embody this. So rather than just being conceptual, I can actually show you this with some simple exercises. So let's start with the first one, intention. What I'd like you to do is if you take your fingers out and just put them together. So take your pointer finger and your thumb. And to begin, use your pointer finger to explore your thumb. What do you notice right now? Might be smooth, might be rough, might be noticing dryness or moisture, warmth or coolness. Or there could be a thought or a memory. Oh, that's that place where I accidentally nicked myself with the knife when I was chopping a vegetable. So now you can separate your fingers, let that go. Put them back together. This time, use your thumb to explore your index finger. What do you notice? It's the same or different? Is it warmer or cooler? Rougher or smoother? Maybe a different thought, a different memory. So now you can separate your fingers again. What you just did there is amazing because you intended to place your attention and you could do it. And you could actually switch it. So in one case it was in your pointer finger and then in the other case it was in your thumb. That's amazing. It means that attention is trainable when we use intention. So what about attention itself? I think I can demonstrate this one too. So if you put your 2 fingers out in front of you, what do you notice? Well, I notice my fingernails, the back of my hands. I have thoughts about my hands. Oh, this finger's a little short, or it's a little crooked, it's a little bent. Now notice that your attention automatically gravitates towards your fingers. I didn't ask you to look at your fingers, but if you're like me, the attention almost immediately picks up on your fingers. They're right out in front of you. It narrows in and sees the fingers without me even asking. So this is a function of attention, and it is what often happens throughout our day. We notice what's not going right, what's not working. We collapse, and notice that. So now what I want you to do is start to slowly separate your fingers, and without moving your head from side to side and without giving yourself a headache, how can you start to see both of your fingers as you separate them? In order to do this, you have to relax your gaze. You have to notice your peripheral vision. So this is a different quality, a different function of the attention itself. It can be wide, a wide attention, or it can be narrowly focused. This also is a skill. You can develop both of these. Now, what about the last one, attitude? This one's a little harder to demonstrate, but I think I can do it. So I want you to make a fist, a really tight fist. Really clench your fist. What do you notice as you clench your fist? I notice that it takes a lot of energy to hold my fist in this position. I notice the muscles of my arm getting tight, the heat of my hand. I'm also noticing that the way that I'm relating to this experience, I don't really like it. I don't like holding my hand with a tight fist. I'm bracing against the experience. So now what if I release my hand, open the fist? Whew, there's a moment of relief. It takes a lot less energy. The mind actually isn't fighting or bracing against this experience. It's not struggling with it. It's more at ease. That's a shift in attitude. So in any given moment, we're always relating with an attitude. It can be open and kind and curious, compassionate, or it can be struggling, bracing, fighting, resisting, denying what's happening. So this is the last thought that I want to leave you with, that mindfulness is not a fixed, static thing. It's actually a dynamic, active process that involves intention, attention, and attitude.